So today I'm going to be working on the failed terrarium, and it'll be pretty obvious to see which one that was. I just need to give the glass a wipe. So as I say, these two terrariums were set up in exactly the same way at the same time, and it's quite clear to see which of these has failed and which has become a lovely success. So today we're going to be working on getting this one looking like this one again, and hopefully this time the plants and the moss will establish well and it will carry on into the future. So firstly, what I needed to do was just clean out the old terrarium. It was really mouldy in there, and I didn't want to reuse any of the plants or any of the moss or soil from that terrarium. I didn't want it ruining the new one, so I just chucked it all in the garden bin and gave the terrarium a good rinse. I wanted to wipe the glass as well, just to make the terrarium, the jar, look presentable. And then it was basically getting to scaping. So firstly I washed out the gravel which I have. You can see it's really got loads of sediment and bits in it, and that'll just stay at the bottom and maybe won't look so nice. This isn't really essential, but I like doing it. And then just pouring the gravel into the jar. This is the reason why you use gravel in a terrarium, is because you need to create a false bottom. So this false bottom essentially it emulates a kind of water table in nature. It means that all the water doesn't become stagnant when it's saturated in the soil and the moss, and it means that there is a place for the water to move to that is sort of acts like a table on which the scape can sit, and that means that it won't make the moss stagnant and it won't make the soil stagnant, which is perfect. So to cover this sort of table area up and to preserve the scape for a bit longer, what I like to do is put a little bit of mesh in the bottom. I actually just cut up some mesh out of like some old swimming shorts and use that as the sort of dividing layer between the bottom and the soil area, which you can see I'm putting in right now. I just use a little bit of soil at the front of these scapes because moss doesn't need a lot to sort of grow into. It doesn't need a very deep substrate layer, especially if you use moss which is already established on wood. But I did want to bring depth and height to the scape, so you can see I've piled up the soil to the back of the jar, which sort of gives me that planting area for my Fittonia, which I'm going to put in, and just makes it look a bit deeper and brings a bit more intrigue and background to the scape, rather than just having a plain background or whatever's behind it. It can sort of give that background to the scape without having to buy something, and soil is really good for that because it compacts well and you can shape it nicely. So when I had all of the soil in place, I basically got to planting. I bought these Fittonia from Longacres. They were really cheap, and I do recommend doing that because some garden centres, they will charge a lot of money for these plants, and I wanted to create a scape that was cheap and affordable, and that just means I'm not worrying about the money I'm spending on it, and that I can have more fun with the scape. That's why I like naturally sourcing and reusing a lot of material as well. These Fittonia were quite large, which meant I had to split a few of them. I had used a lot of the smaller ones I had for the previous terrariums I had made. You can see a few of them have died. And basically what I tried to do is make an area where the moss could be sat, and also a kind of divide between the two plants where I could put a log. I didn't want to make this obvious though, so I sort of carried the colours between both sides and placed an irregular coloured plant, that red Fittonia, red vein Fittonia, in the bottom right, just to provide a bit of contrast and not make it look so symmetrical, because I did only really have pink ones left. So then it was time just to put a little bit of hardscape in. I was going to go for 2 twigs. They're nicely covered in moss, already established. Got those from the wild, but I only eventually went with one, and then it was my favourite time now because I love putting the moss in. Brings such colour to Escape, and background and texture and interest. And yeah, placing this was a bit of a hassle, having put in the Fittonia first, but I like doing it that way because actually putting in the Fittonia after the moss will create a load of soil mess. It'll cover the moss and it won't be as nice and green as it is right now. And I wanted to go for a little bit of this beard moss, I think it is, in the front of the Escape, just because it was a much finer texture and sort of looked like a nice lawn or grassy area. And when I was done with that, that was the Escape pretty much finished. I wanted to keep this one nice and simple. Having the last one fail, I just wanted to have nice large Fittonia which were already well established, just increasing the likelihood of that Escape succeeding. And then this was the final result. I've placed a little light over it here, but that's not necessary. You can just keep it in a sunlit area next to a window during winter and out of direct sunlight in the summer. And I'm really pleased with the way this turned out. I think the Escape has such interest. There's shaded areas and it looks really nice in my opinion. When all of the dew is on the plants, it just looks amazing. And you can see the plant colours really popping under this light here with that mossy background. And I just love creating little microscapes like this. They're great for providing a small slice of nature to a corner of the house. So this is the completed terrarium and I'm really happy with the way this turned out. It's a massive improvement on that old mouldy terrarium which didn't work out, and I'm really hoping this time, with the few minor tweaks I've made, that it will be a little bit more successful. I've just gone with some more consistent species of moss which I know will definitely do well. I've only put 3 species in this tank along with a lot of large established Fittonia which should hopefully do better than the smaller ones I put in the last terrarium. But yeah, I love this, it looks really good. It's got a very dark area in the middle which creates a little bit of intrigue in there, a little dark patch, drawing the eye in. So all that's left to do now is to put the lid on. I've given it a water and the level is halfway up the reservoir, which is completely perfect. It'll keep this terrarium nice and humid all day round, just slowly releasing that moisture to be circulated around this closed environment terrarium. So yeah, I'll stick the lid on and that is done. Thank you guys for watching this video and have a good one.